All right. Episode 2 of The Ramble. And I have a guest who is actually an LA Chargers fan. Yes.
Yay!
I'm one. She's one.
Bolt up.
There's 2 in LA. We're excited. And for those that don't know, Chargers moved in 2017 to Los Angeles, and they weren't exactly warmly received. They moved with the Rams, who had a little more fan base here, a little more history. Mm-hmm. And I went to some games at the soccer stadium, the temporary stadium that they're playing in.
I went there. The Home Depot Stadium?
Yeah, Carson, California, and it was where the Galaxy plays. Yep. And I went to some games, and some of them were overrun with opposing fans. Fans didn't show up, or they
all of them
resold their tickets. Well, some were okay, but some of them were bad.
I shared an Uber with some Bronco fans.
Yeah.
I shared an Uber to get from parking, which was really far in Carson. The only people who were there who wanted to share an Uber with me were like all Bronco fans. I'm like, okay, let's do it. It was me and a car full of Bronco fans Ubering to the stadium. But I didn't know. People I didn't know.
I went to one of those where it was really, really bad. Like I'm saying 90-10. 90% opposing fans, and it was Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
So we were kicking their ass, and I'm sitting there drunk as hell, and I'm happy. I'm starting to talk some serious smack, and I'm going, hey, you guys should go back to Wisconsin. And the guy stands up that's next to me. He's like, bro, I'm from San Bernardino. Like, he's not from fucking Wisconsin. He's like, dude, there was no team here. We just had to just pick a fucking team, okay? Anyway, they joined forces with the Rams to build a stadium here in Inglewood, and it's finally open. But of course, the coronavirus hit, and it's empty every Sunday. We live in California, so it's one of the stricter places.
Oh, you can't. Don't you have a season pass?
I do. I have season tickets, but they pushed it to 2021, so it's completely empty. Although some states, you can have some fans. I don't know, 10,000 or something like that. It's a 70,000 seat stadium. They have some people spread out in some stadiums in some states.
Really?
But California is not one of them.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm fine. It was bummed at first. I was bummed about Disneyland, but you know what? I got over it. We're almost to the finish line. We got a vaccine coming up, so I'm it's one of those things.
I love Disneyland too. How have we never hung out at these places together? That's really weird.
I know. I'm like fucking in my 30s, and I like Disneyland more than I did when I was younger. I was telling the last guest the same thing.
I was born a few miles away. I was born in Santa Ana.
Santa Ana. Okay, so you're Orange County. Yep. Oh, gotcha. Did your parents were born here or born in okay.
I'm the only one in my entire family that was born in America, actually. All of my siblings and my parents were born in Vietnam.
Vietnam. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Right on.
They escaped the war.
And in Orange County, are they conservative?
Yeah, is Orange County conservative or my parents?
Oh, your parents.
Yeah, I guess so. You would say that they're a very traditional Asian family. Yeah, so I would say that's conservative in U.S. politics. I have to remind my dad not to watch certain news channels sometimes. Like
Fox News?
Yeah, namely. But that's the lawyer in me. I went to law school and I took bar and did all that. So I'm like, you're smarter than that, Dad. You're smarter than that. Constantly. So I try to shake him out of the being too conservative.
Yeah. So you studied law. What do you make of what's happening right now with Giuliani and Sidney Powell, the lawyers for Donald Trump, and how they're like, are they like 1 in 27, I think, in the courts?
So I stopped practicing after 10 months because I don't like it, and actually never. And I never liked politics. And the only reason I know about politics now is because I feel like I'm obligated to be responsible and to be well informed and to inform others. But honestly, a lot of lawyers are like that. I'm not trying to be rude to my colleagues, but I'm not surprised. Like whatever they're doing, whatever they're in trouble for right now, I honestly can't keep track with that stuff. It's makes me sick. I can't even watch TV shows.
Right.
I can't. I honestly can't. Yeah. I knew you were going to throw me a legal question. I shouldn't have said anything. Yeah. I should have just, what I share on Facebook is pretty much the extent of what I've been researching.
Yeah. So, no, I just, it's lawsuits after lawsuits.
Yeah. I hate that. I did a double certificate in intellectual property and business law. So I'm fully transactional. I'm all contracts. I'm all about making deals, not breaking lives, you know?
Sure.
I could never do, I did some like mock trials or some trial competitions. And when I practiced, I wrote some briefs for like class action suits and things like that. So I can do trial, but no thanks. That and family law, I feel like I would get too emotionally attached and I wouldn't be able to like objectively do my job.
Okay.
That's just what I feel like, cause I'm very compassionate about certain things. So when I make contract deals, to me, that's helping everyone, you know? It sucks when you have to sue for that reason, right. So that's why I don't practice anymore, and I have lawyers for that. But, knock on wood, that doesn't happen anytime soon. It's really hard for me to enjoy watching, knowing legal things, like, because the way that they glamorize it, I think is what it is. Like, it's just like a bad PSA.
So if you're bringing in these lawsuits that are frivolous, you can lose your licensing, right? You can get...
No, well... Frivolous lawsuit is it's a claim against the client, because in the oath that we take, we have to do whatever we think whatever the client wants, and we have to inform them when it's a bad idea. But we can't really say you can also quit, but you know, if it's a lawyer who has like had a client for a long time, the client just really wants to file this lawsuit, and a lawyer can do it, they wouldn't necessarily be disbarred. I don't even know the words. Disbarred, but
right.
They do keep track of your record. So I wouldn't be surprised if Giuliani was disbarred. He's done a lot of like, if they can prove any of the fraudulent, untrustworthy, or like if he's any disrespectful to the court system in any way, I think all of those things are fair for disbarment, but which all those things he most likely has done, but you have to prove it. So, I mean, I know people who have like personally who I went to school with who have been disbarred, so it doesn't take that much.
Yeah, good. So, do you have a lot of conservative friends, and have they all moved on to Parler, or you still see them on like social media, or do you still see them?
You know this.
Yeah, I've seen
You're
them,
on my Facebook. You see my Facebook page. I like how I know you know the answer to this, but yes, no, I do still have lots of conservative friends, and I make it a policy on my social media not to just delete people just because they have different views for myself, as long as they're respectful. So as long as everybody's respectful, I don't mind other opinions like being shared, because I think it's important that everybody knows what the other side is saying. You know, like there are a lot of people from both sides on my social media who have interacted with each other respectfully and said, "Oh, I honestly didn't know that. You know, I've never heard those things because he's watching the wrong news or something." Or or maybe even the liberal ones are getting an idea of what type of information the conservative ones are getting and why they think this way. You know, so like I feel like that's just helpful for people to interact with each other as long as they're respectful. And I do call people out, and I had to block people for calling names. Like, please, no name calling, that's not necessary. You know, or blurting out like fake news all the time. Like, that's annoying. But in terms of different opinions, no, I accept that. I welcome people's opinions and like just hearing them out. And I'm not very argumentative. I'm like the worst lawyer ever. I'm not very argumentative. I'll just say, okay, well, we agree to disagree.
That's very civil.
I know, I am. You know Ty Rivera, right? He's a comedian. He's he's a Trump supporter comedian, and he's like one of my best friends in the whole wide world. And we used to walk our dogs together and just disagree on things and be okay with it. And be like, see, I don't want this in my neighborhood. I'm like, yeah, but where would they go? I'm like, where would they end up? We don't know. And he's like, well, I don't care. Well, okay. Agree to disagree then.
Yeah.
So yes, you kind of just have to hear it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've had a lot of exchanges. Some of them, it's been a lot of fun and games, but then it's kind of turned to where I've had a friend who. I believe you actually know this guy, but I've had a friend who's like, probably. I've known her for like 10 years because I've been in LA for a little while. And it's
for a conservative comedian.
Yeah, conservative comedian.
Yeah, I'm sure I know who it is. There's only like a handful. There aren't that many.
I've gotten like crazy, like physical violence threats and shit. And I was like, man,
what?
Yeah. And I'm like, man, people are really worked up. And I'm wondering, has it gone to a point where making fun of the whole MAGA culture, has that kind of spiraled out into something that becomes like they're embodied into this thing, and they become this thing. And, you know, if you make fun of it, you are making fun of them. Therefore, you are disrespecting them. And it's kind of like, wow, is it really that?
Yeah. Oh, that's definitely the case. I don't think for everyone. I think it's hard to generalize, you know,
Yeah.
Especially having family members who are not speaking to me right now. But because I'm pretty open about making fun of it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone does. Friends, I mean, if you go to like turn on the late night TV, it's like Colbert, it's Kimmel, it's
oh my God, John Oliver is my fave. I love John Oliver to death. He's so funny.
For me, I just worry: is it going to be like to the point where they're so into these conspiracy theories and they're so into this kind of like batshit alternate realities where, you know, they get so wrapped up, it becomes one of these things where it's like some sort of like mental illness or something. And then when you make fun of it, it becomes one of these things where you're like punching down and it's frowned upon. And, you know, it's
like fat shaming or like slut shaming them.
Right. Like it's like
shaming them.
I hope it never MAGA shaming. I hope it doesn't come to that, because it's kind of like, you know, let's keep comedy, you know, open.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I just judged a competition in Vegas this past weekend, and it's like a road show comic competition. So it's like the main prize is like 100 book shows, you know. So it's like one of those. It's not like America's Got Talent.
Okay.
It's like for people who want to start traveling to shows and stuff. So it's in Vegas, and we did it at the LA Comedy Club in the Strat. And kind of weirdly, most of the audiences, and we do 3 shows a night for most nights. And I was there Thursday through Saturday, but it was all week. But most of the audience members were Republican and Trump supporters. And I thought that was kind of weird because Vegas isn't necessarily that conservative a town, but a lawyer friend did make a point that the only ones who are out at comedy clubs would be Republicans right now. So that makes sense. But it was very odd because everybody gets to vote, even the audience members. So the judges get more weighted votes. So I was able to vote in categories and things like that. I might give marks on that, but everybody gets to vote. So the comics were kind of, for lack of a better term, pandering to the audience members who are Republican Trump supporters. And I'm like, oh man, like they're going to think that this is okay. You know, like
work in the room.
Yeah.
or know in the room.
Yeah. And it made sense. Well, some of them already are like Republican comedians. Yeah. So they did really well, but it was just really interesting to me because I'm like, wow, this is how it might be for them on the road. You know, they know that they're going to have different audiences. And even though, but the best part was at the end, because while they're tallying all the scores, they have usually one of the winners of the past competition winners doing a set just, you know, to close the show. And most of them were not Republican, and they were giving it to the audience, like just saying like, you're wrong, this is wrong, like just hacking on them for all of their choices, basically. And I was like, you're doing Lord's work, because they were going to come out of there thinking that everything was like these pro-life jokes were funny, you know, like even though it's kind of funny, you know, like, cause I'm used to comedy, so I can laugh at abortion jokes if it's funny, but,
sure.
But there are like a lot of Republican jokes that they thought were so hilarious. I'm like, oh God, like, I just can't believe that this is what it might be like in the future, you know? But
yeah,
they seem to be okay with both jokes too. They seem to be okay with being made fun of at the end. I don't think that it'll ever get to a point where it's like fat shaming or slut shaming, because they have too much pride.
Okay.
To be shamed. I think it's too hard. I think it's too hard to shame them. You know, they won't like it, and it might make them more violent, but that's kind of already where they're going.
Right, which I think is odd. You know, it's weird because I watch guys like Bill Maher or whatever, and he goes down to the South and he performs, and he says those are the best crowds. He's like,
really?
Even when I make fun of them, he's like, there's no problem.
Why? Why are the best crowds?
You would think that, you know, him being so liberal and poking fun at conservatives and things like that, he wouldn't want to go down there. He wouldn't want to go to Georgia. He wouldn't want to go to Oklahoma, or he wouldn't want to go all these places, right. But he does anyway. And they're very welcoming, and they laugh at themselves and whatever. And
he kills.
I hope that doesn't change is what I'm trying to say. Cause if,
I like that. I don't think it'll be the same. I think it will. Yeah. I think that there's too much pride going on, and we make fun of everybody. Everybody makes fun of everybody, like.
I make fun of liberals. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I mean, they hate it.
I'm actually not a Democrat. Oddly, I'm not a Democrat.
Oh, you're not? Okay. I'm a left-wing radical progressive, I guess. And I make fun of, we do a lot of like stuff, especially culturally, like a lot of, I mean, it's kind of hard not to, right. Make fun of yourself and make fun of some of the things that go on. I mean, I get why they do it, but it's just kind of like, come on. I mean, sometimes you go a little too far. I mean, let's face it.
I used to book a political current event show. Sorry, I'm going through the hallway. Called Bad News Live, and it was a panel of 4 comedians, and I would try to book each panelist as a different type of demographic, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And so that was always very interesting. Well, one, because it was very difficult to find a conservative Republican every month, but also seeing them interact, and it was great. It was fun. They made fun of each other. Like I think the third place, the one who got third place in this competition just recently, he's a Republican. His name's Adam Yancer, and he's great, and he's super smart, and he had great jokes. And I actually booked him like years ago on my panel, and he had the biggest hush of the audience because he said something like he believes gay acts are a sin. And like, obviously we're in West Hollywood and doing a taping on this comedy show, and like everyone was like, what? And it was cute because the panel I had a gay panelist, Zach Noe Towers, and he was like, how do you work for Ellen? Because Adam works for Ellen. And it was a cute way of like getting out of such a weird, awkward silence,
Sure.
Because, but it was real. He's like, and Adam just said, we don't have to believe in the same things to work together. And it's true. You don't have to believe in the same things to work together. Like you don't have to let that get in the way.
Not at all. Yeah. And
if you can make fun of each other, then that's fine. Like I make fun of my Republican friends all the time, and they'll make fun of us back or me back, like on social media. They'll comment with a meme or something, a funny meme, and I'll laugh at that. Like again, like calling Biden the creep, and I'll laugh at that, even though it's not funny. But I'll be like, okay, you're just trying to be funny. This is your way of interacting back, and that's better than getting angry.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll take it.
I had someone message me and tell me that the Biden vote count was actually 25 million, not 80 million.
Where? Who said that?
I'm not gonna say names, but she's.
I mean, but where was that? Where did they get that fact from?
Well, they're going off of some batshit theory that there's a computer software program that is flipping votes from Biden to Trump, or Trump to Biden. That's what I mean. And that that the rallies, if you remember, Trump always had rallies, and they always had these guys in lifted trucks with the giant flags, and they would call them Trump trains, and they would drive, up the freeway. They would drive. They surrounded, I think, the vice president's like bus once, or vice president-elect Kamala Harris's bus once in Texas. And they called them Trump trains, and it was just a big show of support, and sometimes it'd be for intimidation purposes or whatever.
That's always for intimidation.
Yeah, for sure. And so yeah, maybe not sometimes. So the thinking was, when I talked to this person, it was that no one was showing up to the Biden stuff, as if like liberals want to go and fill up stadiums and like, yeah, Joe Biden. Like we fucking do not care. All we care is vote the other fuck out. That's really what we care. We're going to send our vote.
Right.
Yeah. We're going to mail our vote in. We're not going to even go to the actual polling station. We're going to mail it in and vote the other guy who is just 1,000 things wrong with everything.
So they were taking the attendance numbers of these rallies as their as indicative of what the vote would be. Oh, during the pandemic.
Right, during the pandemic.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, no, I don't understand. That's when people like share parts of like headlines that are like parts of the story. That's how I know that they're not getting the full round of information, you know? And so, like, my dad will say something, and just the way he phrases it sometimes, I'll be like, stop watching Fox News.
Yeah.
Real quick. And he'd like, and he'll laugh, and he'd be like, how did you know that's where I got that? I'm like, I can just tell. Just tell from the way you worded it. I can tell from the way you phrased it, or how, you know, or just everything, like, about how you just said that fact, quote unquote. I'm like, that's all some type of conservative, you know? I'm like, stop watching YouTube. YouTube is not a good source of news. Things like that.
Yeah.
So now they're learning how to use these platforms because of the pandemic. So now I'm like, crap, now they have access.
So speaking of the pandemic, so you are obviously you book and you promote shows, right? Live shows.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because obviously this has been going on since March, and I've been kind of like dabbling into live stuff, sketching and stand up, but I do mostly like digital video. Cool. But I was just about to get into more live stuff when this shit happened. So cool. I'm thinking, you know,
good timing.
Yeah, great. And how is it for you guys? How have you been able to to handle this?
Well, there are a few people / teams that are doing social distancing comedy, whether it's drive-in or like Tammy Jo Dearden's in the Magic Castle drive-in one, which is pretty cool. I think that's been on the news and like got a lot of praise for like helping keeping things alive.
Oh, okay.
In a live comedy sense, and then also I think I'm going to a show actually tonight that's a socially distanced comedy thing. Oh yeah, they had to move up. They had to move up to the showtime because of Newsom's recent curfew.
Sure, right.
So which starts I think tonight. And so that was kind of, I actually had to ask about it. I'm like, hey, so do you think this curfew is going to affect the show? Because I didn't know. And my friend's like, oh, that's a good question. Oh yeah, it started 2 hours earlier. Like that would have been shitty if we went to, you know, like if we tried to go late. So yeah, it is like there are some people that are able to do it and do it safely, which is fine. For me, I don't think that producing my live show would be as easy for me to do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Especially since I've been in Orange County with my parents.
Okay.
I've been caring for, my parents are pretty old. So I've been caring for them for the past 7 months in Irvine. But, it wouldn't be easy for me to go and like check out venues and like, you know, cause it's one of those things where you kind of have to see if it's going to work or not. So I kind of just stayed away from that. But I also booked radio shows. I helped book a Zoomathon fundraiser.
Oh, good.
For Biden and Harris about 2 months ago. Yeah.
Oh, is that with Kat?
Yeah, with Kat Alvarado.
Okay, cool.
Kat organized it, but I booked the 7 o'clock hour and then also helped her with other stuff that didn't have to do with the campaign. So basically, she had to do all the administerial stuff, and I was gonna just book it. So that was really good. We raised $10,000.
I was one of the donors.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. I saw that. Good job, guys. That was cool.
Thank you. Yeah. No, she did a great job. I was really happy to help, and I brought on a few like pretty big names like Mark Normand, and I booked Judah Friedlander from 30 Rock, and like people who I knew were down for the cause. So it was fun to do that. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to book Zoom shows just because we're so new, but it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. You know what I mean? It's like, I know some of the bigger comics who are my friends who I've spoken with are just trying to avoid doing Zoom shows. Yeah. But that was early on.
Sure.
And now it's like, I've actually had lots of Zoom meetings with people who are doing like an audience interactive type of Zoom show, which is pretty interesting. But, and like, you know, it's actually really interesting. So, you know, there are lots of ways that people are figuring out how to make this work. I think also, do you know Ben Glebe? He's a comedian / producer. Yeah. He has a Zoom comedy club. He's got a club that he uses and has like to Zoom all the equipment. And yeah, basically now that I'm looking at, I'm still looking at venues though, just to see what's out there. So I've recently looked up some venues and they all have streaming capabilities. So I don't think it's going to be that different. It's just going to be less audience members for a while. I don't think it'll die, but I'm definitely being cautious about what type of shows I put my time into right now because, safety first, making sure that my family is taken care of. And then, doing the remote stuff like my radio production, which I do want to tell people about, by the way, before I forget.
Oh, yeah.
Marcus King Presents. So everyone go to marcuskingpresents.com. Marcus King I call him the Quincy Jones of comedy because he worked with Jamie Foxx for decades. And they started Foxhole Radio together and Sirius. And he's like a legend when it comes to working in comedy. So I actually partnered up with him with my radio channel at Dash Radio. So we're moving on. We're moving on up and on to our own platform and starting that launch actually coming very soon before the year's ended. So everyone, please go to marcuskingpresents.com and subscribe there and we'll update everyone with all the info. That's going to be really exciting. We already have 15 to 18 shows all going with live comedian shows with lots of really fun people. I don't know if you know Alex Thomas or Kevin Tate or Howie Bell, but in the urban comedy shows.
I heard about Howie Bell.
Howie's like my brother. But yeah, so we do a lot of live shows on the radio and on YouTube. And Slink Johnson, I don't know if you've heard of him. He's also plays Black Jesus on Adult Swim. Okay, yeah. And yeah, so I produce his radio show. It's really fun, and he's on YouTube now. So hopefully we'll bring everybody onto our new platform coming up very soon. So yeah, you subscribe there, and then we'll hit you up with all the updates. We have a really fun team working on the radio stuff. Other than that, I think I probably might be booking for that channel to launch out. I think we're going to be doing monthly live shows. So I'm still going to be booking live shows. And we're not sure of where the location would be. It might be in Vegas. It might be in LA. It might be both, So those would have to be obviously very exclusive and invite or try to get in early because COVID, I suspect that our maximum occupancies for everything will be fairly low. But, I think we'll be able to work it out. I think live shows will be good. It's definitely taken a hit and we'll have to adapt. Yeah. But if we can't adapt, then we shouldn't be working in live shows.
Yeah, no, that's very innovative. That's good that you guys are doing that. I noticed Rona's spiking again. The cases are way up. We're still in the purple. A lot of other counties in California are going into purple. And it's the holiday season, and we're going to visit some friends and family. And I had to go get tested. I just got back from Utah. I hiked Angel's Landing, and it's this really, really steep, crazy spot mountain in Zion National Park. And it was...
Oh, my buddy was just there.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
You were there at the same time.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's I went there for, kind of like a social distancing kind of trip thing, where you're not interacting with a bunch of people. But on Angel's Landing, you're hiking up this mountain and down this mountain in it's one way up, one way down, and you're holding onto these chains. And so when you go up in the morning, you tend to beat the crowds and it's still pretty freaky, but it's sandstone, so it could be a little slippery, and the chains you got to wear gloves because the chains is a little slippery, and it's
that sounds fun.
Yeah, no, it's definitely fun. There's a lot of scrambles. You definitely have to use it's a total body kind of workout. It's just when you're coming down, the late risers are coming up. So, they're waking up at 10 or whatever, and they're coming up the mountain. And now you have this situation where you have to kind of get face to face with hundreds of people all of a sudden. And it's just damn,
so it's not so distant.
Yeah. And so, I had to take off my mask cause it was just too much to breathe through this fucking thing. And, yeah, it definitely flipped me out because I as soon as I got home, I went down to Dodger Stadium and I got tested because it was like people were heavily breathing into each other's face.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's hilarious. But like you couldn't, I mean, did they have their masks off too?
Most people did not. No, it was, I would say 90% of the people did have their mask on going up that thing.
I mean, I was in Vegas and there's no way that like they're trying, you know, like the security is trying to get people to put their masks on. But when you're drinking or smoking or eating, you know, like most people don't have their mask on. It's really hard to have your mask on. So it's like, they're like, oh, just keep it on your ears. And like, well, that's not really doing anything. Some of the tables had like plastic dividers, but
yeah,
honestly, like walking around, it's like if you're gonna, there's no way that you're like keeping like 100% safe from anybody, you know? Like no,
right.
There's no way. But I got tested as soon as I got back too, and I'm actually staying away from my parents for the week, and then I'm getting another test before I go back home.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
Because there's incubation periods or whatnot, whatever they call these things. You know, they're like up to 5 days. You could, you know, have a negative up until however long. I don't know. So I just want to make sure because again, you know, trying to keep my parents alive.
No, totally.
But they live in Irvine, and Irvine's really great about giving residents tests and things like that. So I think Orange County, although we're known for not taking things seriously, at least we have like good medical care out there because, you know, UCI. It's just a lot of good medical facilities in Orange County. That's good.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the pharmaceuticals are also up there.
Yeah, no, it's Orange County's great. It's just that at least in the last few years, it's been known as the Florida, California.
I know. But there is an Orange County in Florida too, which is funny.
Yeah.
My sister just moved to Florida in August during the pandemic.
Ooh.
From Germany.
Oh.
I know. She went from the safest to like the worst. At least her kids are still in Germany, so they're safe. I think it's funny that most of like the communist countries are doing better with the pandemic because they're allowed to tell their people what to do.
Right. They have like a more authoritative thing going on.
Yeah, it's like stay home or we'll kill you.
Is Vietnam still a
country? Yeah, it's still a country.
I should Google stuff, but is it still a communist country?
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Technically, yes. Yes, I refer to them as more of an economical type of capitalist, is more so than communist. A lot of our products are being made in Vietnam now, more than China. We're taking a lot of China's business in Vietnam. I say we. I've never been to Vietnam, but you know, my whole family escaped from there. My mom is one of 12 kids.
Wow.
My dad is one of 8 kids, 7 or 8 kids. Yeah. And so I have like over 100 first cousins.
Amazing.
Like well over 100 first cousins. Yeah. Is it? It's so normal for me to have even just my siblings and their kids, because all of my siblings are married with at least 2 to 4 kids. And so like I have 13 nieces and nephews. So for me, it's always been like that, you know?
Well, my mom is one of 9. And she's from Argentina. Okay. And so that they're, you know, Catholic. And so they reproduce like crazy. So it's common there. Not necessarily here in the United States, unless Philip Rivers is is the guy, is the dad.
Philip Rivers and his like 109 children.
Yeah, I think he's up to 9.
His dozens and dozens of children. Yeah, he just had his 9th, I think, last year.
Yeah, I think he's at 9th. Yeah,
9 kids. I mean, they're still going. They're both. They're
for
still
anybody
young.
Wondering, it's the Chargers quarterback from, I don't know, former 2004 to 2019. He was the Chargers quarterback for anybody.
Yeah, that's a long time. He did us good. He was 30. He's usually my backup fantasy.
Yeah, he's doing well this year. I mean, he's 38, 39 or something like that. He's still had a couple years left. But listen, I'm really happy that we got Justin Herbert from the University of Oregon. The kid is amazing. I mean, we really do have to turn it around as far as defense and special teams, but I'm pretty pleased.
It hasn't been his fault.
No, it's not his fault.
It hasn't been our loss. Yeah, his losses. Like I try not to watch too much of the games now because it's heartbreaking. But
I love the abuse.
You know, like in so in so many different ways. Whatever. The abuse is on me.
I love the abuse.
The abuse is on the fans.
I take it. I take it.
The fans are the ones.
I've been used to it, so I'm just like, you know what? It happens. I haven't shut down a game yet. Okay, I'm sorry. I've shut down one game. I shut down that one game. No, that fucking game where they were in the playoffs and they lost to New England. It's like whatever 40 something to whatever.
Yeah.
Because they're always
those ones for sure. I'm like, I'm over it.
Yeah, they're always winning by a little or losing by a little, and lately it's been losing by a little all the time. But that game, they just fucking didn't show up.
As soon as they go into overtime, I'm done.
Yeah.
As soon as they're in overtime, I'm like, I can't.
Right.
I know they're gonna lose. Like they can't. You know, it's been in overtime. What, 2 or 3 times this season already?
Twice, yes.
That we've lost at least twice, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, as soon as it hits overtime, I'm like, I'm out. I'm out of here. Let's go to the dog park. I really do. I go to the dog park. I'm like, I need to forget.
The release.
But Herbert, you know, the ones I do watch, and the plays I do pay attention to, because I used to be in like 5 fantasy leagues at one time.
And it's funny because he is going to probably be the rookie of the year on a team that's like 4-12. And it's crazy. You know, like how does that happen when you're the quarterback, the most important position, arguably, on the NFL football team?
He's like really, you can tell he's really trying to step into Rivers' place as like the leader.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's what we need.
Especially going next year into the stadium. SoFi Stadium is 70,000 seats, 70,000 fans. And you definitely don't want, you know, overrun with Raider fans and Green Bay fans and all this stuff. And
it will be.
I mean, I bought tickets.
It will be.
I bought tickets. I hope we get enough hype with this kid, this 22-year-old like Disney prince looking dude.
Do you have a Herbert jersey?
No, I have a jersey. It's the one. It's the T-shirt that has the number.
Okay, I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to buy a jersey yet, but I'm particular.
Yeah, I'm halfway there. I'm in jersey territory, but I will.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of committal.
Yeah,
semi-committal.
Yeah, I bought that prior to seeing him on the field at all. I was just kind of like, he was the first round pick. He's the future.
That's just blind faith.
Yeah, blind faith. Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and
I know where you stand now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that I have one other fan in LA with me, because most people just touched it.
I found a group of Charger fans. There's actually slightly more. Some of them I'm online that I've found have kind of moved around the country, things like that, and they're taking jobs and stuff like that, and still big fans. And they go to the away games or whatnot. And it's gonna take some winning. Yeah. It's gonna take a lot to get a lot more fans into this stadium, and I hope it begins next year in 2021. But given how bad this season is, I'm just not sure. It could be just a handful again.
Let's just pretend this didn't happen. Let's just pretend this year didn't happen.
Yeah, a mulligan.
Yeah, move on. Yeah, mulligan.
Okay, well, 2021 is ahead. Only, a month left, and a lot to look forward to. We got a vaccine. Right. We got Chargers football, exciting Chargers football.
Woo,
we got comedy clubs reopening. Mm-hmm. We got all kinds of great stuff.
Yeah, I think we'll adapt. We'll adapt.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll be stronger. And
hopefully still be able to make fun of people and not get physical threats of violence. Hopefully that... Yeah, hopefully we can all settle down next year with Joe Biden as president, right. The old man in the saddle.
We should just all chill.
Yeah, I think it's going to take time though, for the conspiracy theories to die down a little, the wounds to heal, and people to just chill the fuck out. And weed is like. Well, I don't smoke it, but it's like legal now in like 20 states or something like that. So.
Oh yeah, I mean more than weed now. There's like mushrooms and like what I heard in some states they passed heroin.
Oh, Oregon
passed heroin. I was like, heroin? So that's crazy. Just like possession.
Yeah, they
or whatever.
decriminalize small amounts. I'm for the the psychedelic mushroom decriminalization. I actually use it sometimes as an antidepressant. Not around like
microdosing.
Yeah, sometimes, but not around like my house. Like I'll go on like like adventure hikes and stuff like that. Just kind of like get a nice like release. But I don't like to trip out in the city. You know?
Okay, I have a quick story about that. 2016 election day, when the day Trump was elected, was also my birthday. So,
oh my God,
I was dating this guy who I thought he was a lawyer turned comedy producer as well. So like we thought it was like meant to be. So we went to Joshua Tree, voted, went to Joshua Tree, tripped on acid, got engaged. we were dating for like a week. We got engaged. That trip lasted like 2 months, and then that was a bad idea. So be careful. Is my warning to you. Oh yeah, because that was probably worse than just having a bad trip. That was like a really great but misleading trip. If you know what I mean. Yeah,
no, I'm definitely not going to be getting married next time I do some mushrooms, but
but I knew that didn't last, so I figured Trump wouldn't need it. That's really what I took it for. I'm like, well, let's try to look at the positives. Maybe neither will last. But
yeah, 2016, I was actually hiking myself. I was in Yosemite, and I was the day after I took a bunch of mushrooms and kind of figured it.
Maybe that's what I should have done.
Forgot about it for short term, obviously.
I didn't know who won until we came back.
Oh my goodness.
Because we're in Joshua Tree. Like there's no reception.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you're totally removed. So yeah, we didn't know until Thursday what happened until we just drove back into LA. And we're like, oh shit. Like thinking that we're all engaged and in love. It was a buzzkill at the time. I should have taken that as a red flag because everyone like, okay, this is a sign.
Yeah.
But it took me a couple months to get that sign.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm better for it now. Maybe that's what the whole world needed. It's just a reminder that we can be better.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully.
All right.
But thank you so much.
Yes, you got it. It's Casey, not Cassie, right?
No, it's Cassie, not Cassie.
Cassie, not Cassie.
Or Cassandra, like in Waynesboro.
Okay, I've been a victim of name butchering my whole life because my name's Merv and people call me Melvin, and then now I just butchered yours.
Oh, really? I used to like to shop at Mervin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they closed that down.
Yeah, they did. You know, it's funny. It's because Lee jeans came back in style there for a while, and they would have done well.
What, Mervin's? Is that what they sell? Lee jeans?
Mervin's, yeah. Every time I walk in, I'm like, okay, my name's Mervin. I'm going to buy something here. What do they got? And what do you got? And like they didn't have Levi's. They had Lee's.
Yeah,
and I was like, I'm not a Lee guy.
They're not.
I'm not a Lee guy, so I walked out. I stormed out.
They have other stuff. They had like 2 floors.
Yeah, once I saw that.
Whatever. You're at the wrong Mervin.
Oh, there was like different tiers, huh?
Yeah, maybe like Kmart. Yeah. Super K.
Ah. Oh yeah, wait. Mervin's California was one of them, right? That was
no, I have no idea what that means.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
It was just Mervin. But my name's Cassie or Cassandra.
Okay.
Last name is Dang, like dang it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Marcus King Presents is the radio channel / streaming video channel comedy that you can find us at. And yeah, and my live shows are called Dang Comedy Live when I start doing those again.
Awesome.
I know there's a lot, but just look for the word dang. That's my brand.
Fuck yeah. Okay, thanks, Cassie. Have a wonderful day. Yeah, stay safe. Keep your parents safe. And I can't wait to start going to your shows.
Yeah, I can't wait till you start headlining them.
I'm in.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. Talk to you later.
Take care, hon.
Have a good one.